There is nothing interesting about angels, chapter 4. Angels do not experience emotions in a human way. They do not feel fear easily, and yet, Chloe had once been afraid. The fear it must have felt as it did that. I know what that feels like. Chloe had said that. In the moment, Cecilia hadn't even registered her words. She had been distracted by what came next. This being wanted her help. The ask had felt unlikely and impossible, too much. Cecilia had walked to Chloe's wall and stood in place, examining the paint with her eyes, searching for any blemishes. Could she understand her roommate better by doing this? Probably not. It was better than nothing. Cecilia remembered the first time she had met Chloe. They were at a freshman's house party in Cecilia's last year of her associate degree in cosmetology. Cecilia was there with her. She never figured out the right word for who this person was to her. Not her boyfriend or girlfriend, not her partner or companion. They had only been dating for a few weeks, nothing serious, and yet it had been intense. The night she had first met Chloe, she was at a house party with her special someone, Simon. They had made the introductions and told her that Chloe had just moved to the city. She needed friends. When Cecilia had seen her, she instantly wanted to do her makeup. Something about her pale, freckled face and soft, pouty lips. She was the canvas that Cecilia had dreamed of. It took her a few drinks to build up the courage to ask her. Finally, swaying slightly and with a smile that she could not suppress, Cecilia tapped Chloe on the shoulder. "Hi, so I was wondering." She paused a moment to remember where she had left her purse. On her shoulder. Perfect. Cecilia rushed through the rest of her sentence. "Can I do your makeup?" Cecilia tilted her head and smiled. "Okay." From the moment she had consent, Cecilia's mind filled with images, possibilities for what she wanted to do. Decided on what features to highlight, she had grasped Chloe's hand to lead her to the bathroom. She had been surprised by how soft her skin felt. A complete lack of calluses, yet Chloe's strength in the return grip was something Cecilia associated with her father, a lifetime construction worker. She had sat Chloe down on the toilet lid and just stared at her, suddenly awkward and shy. "Hi." "Hi," she inanely repeated. She covered her slip by smoothing dark red lipstick on Chloe's lips. "I'm Cecilia." "I'm Chloe," she had said, somehow keeping her lips very still under Cecilia's finger. "It's nice to meet you. I heard that you are new to town. Have you found work yet?" Chloe's eyes had crinkled slightly in a smile. "Yes, I am in human relations." "Oh, cool. I love makeup, and I already have an amazing job lined up, promoting and answering questions about this vegan makeup line." She tilted the tube of lip liner so Chloe could see the brand. "It's a call center, but not one of those soul-sucking places some people get stuck in forever." Cecilia blotted the lipstick and added a pink sheen and gloss. "Forever is a long time," Chloe had said, still smiling. "How long have you worked in human relations?" Cecilia asked, as she opened her new highlighter and dabbed it under Chloe's eyes and along her cheekbones. "Forever," Chloe answered. Cecilia held her breath as she delicately added warm pinks and greens to her eyelids and coated her eyelashes with light brown mascara, shocked at how still her subject stayed. It was as if she were working on a warm, living marble statue. When she was finally finished, she pulled Chloe to her feet and turned her toward the mirror, waiting for the inevitable glowing praise for the miracle Cecilia had accomplished. Chloe stared into the glass. "It is better?" Cecilia began to deny that it was her skill, saying it had more to do with who she was working with, when she processed what she had said. She blinked. "You don't like it?" The strange woman turned to her and fixed her with discomforting attention. "I detect no change in my features. There are slight chemical shifts, and the light is reflecting a different variety of colors. However, I do not understand what it is to like or not to like." Chloe turned back to her reflection as Cecilia stuttered, half apology and half protest. I worked hard to bring out..." "I apologize that I cannot see what you see. Would you like to show me what you see?" Cecilia crossed her arms in front of herself defensively. "Well, yeah, if I could, I'd show you a before and after picture, but Her words died on her lips as her vision blurred, and a series of glimpses of Chloe from the last few hours flashed past. Cecilia put a hand up to her head and leaned against the wall as images of Chloe before and after resolved themselves side by side. one a memory, one a reflection. Both shone with iridescent light. Chloe's twins looked at each other, eyes dark and deep. Their sharp, high cheekbones and flawless skin were identical. Cecilia could see what Chloe meant by seeing no difference. That internal radiance obscured the fact that one of the faces had skillful makeup applied. Then the illumination had faded. Cecilia felt a wash of vertigo as both images settled and became clear in her mind, a proper before and after. She had blinked and been back in the bathroom, standing beside her new friend, who had smiled at her in the mirror. Chloe's voice was softer when she spoke. "I understand," she said. "You have applied a decoration to this vessel." Cecilia had laughed. Then, what? Her vision swam and bright lights blinded her, then receded into darkness. She had lost consciousness then. This was before her roommate had known her impact on a human mind. "What are you doing, Cecilia?" Chloe asked, coming up from behind. "Thinking," she replied, not turning around. "What scares you, Chloe? What made you that afraid?" After a few seconds of silence, she turned. Chloe was standing there, but it was hard to see her. Just like that first night, she was temporarily illuminated. Cecilia had to blink her eyes to clear the after-image of Chloe with fire for hair, eyes black and endless, featureless and imposing. She took one ragged breath and then another. Chloe looked stern, severe, and very still as she asked, "Do you want me to guard your bed tonight?" "Absolutely not. No offense, but you will give me nightmares. And this being wants my help, right? They won't hurt me." Her voice thinned out at the last few words. "If you need me, shout," Chloe said as she turned and walked away, retreating to her room. Cecilia sighed deeply and left the wall. It had been no help. With a slumped posture and no shortage of grumbling, she got ready for bed. As she tucked herself in, she glanced at the vanity. It looked normal. It felt normal. She was exhausted. Within minutes, she fell asleep and fell into a terrible dream. She was being dragged down by thick darkness that twisted and wrapped itself around her legs and arms. She tried desperately to break its grip on her, but it was like a second skin. Her throat felt raw, as if she had already been screaming for far too long and had exhausted her ability to do so. Her heartbeat skipped as she thrashed wildly at her captor, and her breath was knocked from her as she dropped to the floor, and a blinding light pierced her eyes. "Cecilia?" Chloe stood over her, her auburn hair a burning halo, backlit by the ceiling light which she had apparently just turned on. She allowed her body to acknowledge gravity and measured her length on the floor. She stared into Chloe's eyes, a normal hazel with flecks of gold. "I had a nightmare." Chloe nodded. "Yes, I believe that you see it that way." She let Cecilia sit up and pressed the glass with this odd amber-colored liquid into her hand. "Finish your drink, then tell me what you saw." What had she seen? She sipped slowly, holding the liquid in her mouth before swallowing. As it went down her throat, it felt icy and warm at the same time. It reminded her of when she had put her hand in a sink full of piping hot water. How it had been hard to tell if it was very hot or very cold. She tried to bring images to mind, but she really hadn't seen anything in this dream. She had felt things and sensed things. It had been so dark. "I wish I could just show you. Not actually. I don't actually want you in my head." Chloe sighed and shifted slightly. "Nothing personal." She looked down at the empty glass. "That one time was disorienting enough to know that I don't want you wandering around the mess that my mind is." Chloe accepted the boundary with a slow, solemn nod. She took the empty glass from Cecilia's hand, her touch as flawless and cool as stone, and turned to leave the room. Cecilia stayed on the floor for a long moment, watching the doorway where her roommate had disappeared. She looked across the room at the dark, silent glass of the vanity mirror. If Chloe couldn't go into her mind to find the answers, and if this being had spent years learning her face, then a cosmic intervention wasn't the answer anyway. She would handle it the only way she knew how. Tomorrow morning, she would sit at that vanity, look into the glass, and talk to the reflection herself.